Today is June 10. I'm Pastor Michael, and this is Wilderness Wanderings, an archive edition. Our text comes from Nehemiah 1, verse 11. I was the king's wine taster. Why does this chapter end stating Nehemiah's position in the Persian court? The wine taster was a very important person among the king's officials, most likely responsible for other high-priority files. In the Canadian context, he would probably hold several significant cabinet posts. The bulk of the chapter relates Nehemiah's lament and prayer. After learning of the troubles in Jerusalem among the returned exiles, he fasts and weeps. It's a reminder that the journey with God rarely goes in a straight line. Times for lament come and go in the Christian life. Nehemiah prays on behalf of the entire nation of Israel. We can learn from him. Like Jesus, he begins with God. There are times when our prayers begin with our troubles, but overall we need to learn to begin with God. Who are we praying to? That needs to be firmly fixed in our hearts and minds. He confesses his own sins, his family's sins, and the sins of the whole nation. Nehemiah acknowledges the heart of the matter. God had given Israel commands through Moses, but Israel ignored them and did evil. We might think that having confessed her sin, Israel can now expect God to do something for her, a sort of tit-for-tat spiritual arrangement. Israel does something good, so God ought to respond in kind. Isn't that how we often approach God? But Nehemiah does something very different. He reminds God of God's promise to Israel, that if, having experienced his judgment, Israel returned to God, he would return them to the land of promise. Nehemiah expects God to respond to him because God has said he would. He does not bank on Israel's goodness to evoke divine deliverance. Our God keeps his promises. This is what Nehemiah counts on. We can count on this too. But why end with, I was the king's wine taster? By this time, we might be expecting Nehemiah to identify as a spiritual leader among the Jewish exiles. Instead, we are reminded that he held an important position in the Persian court. Two suggestions. First, like Ezra, God has been preparing Nehemiah to help reestablish his people in the Promised Land. Ezra had spent most of his life studying God's law, so he was prepared to teach Israel how to obey God. Nehemiah is an administrator in the Persian court who has skills that will be very important in reestablishing Israelite community. Despite his position of high standing, he has obviously remained faithful to the God of Israel. He is not a Persian. Second, we often say that God can use anyone for his purposes, but we don't always believe it. Here we see how God used an administrative person who had face-to-face contact with the king of Persia. Let that encourage us all, that God can use us. Let us also keep our eyes open to the opportunities he gives us. As you journey on, go with the blessing of God. May the peace of the Lord Christ go with you, wherever he may send you. May he guide you through the wilderness, protect you through the storm. May your day end with rejoicing at the wonders he has shown you. May you rest in his provision as he brings night and then new dawn.